Yes, now it's recording. Let
Oh,
me see.
fantastic.
Okay. This is really great. Yeah, I've been following your career for quite a long time since the my sister bought me from some like Spanish like hip hop compilation, and there was the Makiza song "100% Style."
Ah, yes, and also, yes, I remember that song.
And then it really like I thought that was like one of the standout songs from the compilation, I thought. And then I just started to look at it and like look at the other ones, and then of course whatever has happened since. But it's been like I think in real time, like then I went back to the old record, but then I think Casino Royale was like that. Then that was like, oh, there's a new album, and
Yes,
then
yes,
after
yes.
that the
See,
solo
wow,
stuff.
that was a long time ago.
Yeah, that was quite. It was quite a while ago. You have now a new EP out.
Yes.
How's it practically when you are incorporating like new songs, brand new music into the live performance? Is it what's the process like?
I mean, I feel like the process are very different from when I was younger because my responsibilities are different. And when you take ages, this passion about music is always the same. But I don't live making music the same way that what I used to, you know? What I want to say with that is like, because when I don't remember, when I was 20 years old, there is this very healthy obsession about to rap and make it beats or whatever, or rhyme or find the quote or the punchline or whatever. But then 3 years, you become older, you're a mother in my case, and then you understand that the music is only one step of everything. You get to do so many stuff in the career, like stuff that you don't even want to know, but you need to know to how to build and walk in this industry. So I'm saying this because this EP, I just called my friend, which name is Ordator. He made like 1977. I say, you know what, brother, I just want to make music. Like, let's put the beat and I rap, and that's it, and without expectation. So, and that's the issue I feel with these industries. Like, there is so much expectation, so much strategy, like, and that's got to do nothing with the music at the end, you know. Like, so the first I would say feeling was like, let's just have fun, like, and whatever happened, it will be all benefit. You know what I'm saying? Like, between our relationship as friends, as mutual admiration, I would say. And we had so much fun doing it, you know. And because he's big, you know, he's older than normally is the process, natural process of time, and now we enjoy it. So we made this album, and to be honest, I didn't have like an idea about what to do. Just I wanted to, let's do it. Let's go with the flow. Like, come on, what happened will happen, you know. And if it's genuine, is honest, and that's already is good. Behind that is if it work or if it that don't work for our career.
It's funny you say that because I was actually wanting to ask about that, because even if like your previous like full album and there's a lot of different experimental like styles, you are trying different sounds, aesthetics out and that, and then this EP is more like a old fashioned, like, you know, for a middle-aged hip-hop head like myself, like the boom bap. It's like really like, it's just like you said, it's quite fun. It comes across very nicely from that EP. I like the other material as well.
No, but I understand totally what you mean. That,
Yeah.
because it's like the like the primary emotion when we used to listen, when we listen to music until now. Like, if you find my playlist, of course I listen new music and new artists that are amazing, but I always come back to those classic music, and where I need to come back, you know, it's a natural. It's not even force. It's just because you feel it. It's like, I like this, like, yeah, you know, and that's it. It's the primary emotion, I guess.
Is really beautiful. Let's go back to the very beginning now. Of course, when you're coming here and you're traveling, and it's like, oh, she's coming from Chile, but you also, on top of being from Chile, you also kind of come from France. That's where you were born in France, in Lille, was it? Yeah, in the north. How was your formative years in France? How much of a do you have like a French identity on top of the?
Yes, of course. I mean, like, my parents are Chilean, and so I was born in France, and of course I've got some stuff of the culture, right? I mean, like, uh, you know, it's funny because I think I do two stuff that I always do it in French, like say bad words and counts, like
Yeah.
comme mathématiques, like 3 fois 5, always in French, and merde, always in French. And then, of course, like France always has been for me a huge scene, and in the 80s, in the 90s, and with all those classical music. I mean, for me, the two groups, like, of course, I am from Marseille and NTM from Paris, and we all was raised with that, like, you know. And I would say in my case, like, I couldn't understand the lyrics, so it was like, so I remember that classical song of Le Monde de Demain. It's from the 90s, this song from NTM. And when I listened to that lyric, I was, I don't know, perhaps 10, 11, something like that. I say, I feel like that. I was 12. And I say, I feel like that. What he say, what they say, I feel the same way. And I perhaps, because I used to listen like hip hop from North America, but my English, it was even worse than now. And so of course I could understand it. So I just was feeling flow or whatever. But when you understand the lyrics, there is another connection, a kind of connection, I guess. Like, and then when I listen, I say, I didn't realize at the time, but I say, I was so admirative how you can define all my feeling in one song, like, you know? So I guess that's when my first connection. And then it was La Planète Mars from I Am, a classic one or two. All those songs, like, it was, and until today, when we do karaoke with friends, we put those songs and we rap like when we used to have 12 years, 13, 14, 15. So of course that marked me. It's part of my identity in so many ways. Like, and then of course like the North American scene, like it was like first love in first beat, you know. Como sabes?
Absolutely. And it's good if you're not coming from Paris or Marseille, then you don't have to, you can be a little bit neutral between the two places if they have.
I mean, I think in my case, and I think that's the reason, because I was raised by a very political family, and they always teach me like when people fight to each other through cities and country, like there is bigger like enemies than that. So I never enter in that mode of East Coast, West Coast. I never enter like I think there is so much like more talent everywhere, and my enemies are others. Like it's not a difference between countries or frontier.
That's absolutely true. Now, the time when you've been growing up in France, there was a whole thing when, and you mentioned like this I Am and Supreme MTM and other groups and artists like that. But this was a huge time for not just really French rap or hip hop, but really like globally, because and you said that you could understand what they were saying because it was in French, but they were really like the first people in France, the MCs and the crews and the artists, to take their own language and use that as a hip hop language. It wasn't so commonplace. Even here, where we are now in Finland, there's a lot of artists who started rapping in Finnish who said that they credit the French, that they could start using their own language.
And because I think France was the second country in the world. I'm sorry if the specialists will say, no, that's not true, but I'm pretty sure that is the second country in the world that was the biggest consumer and producing hip hop in France. So it was really a school, like a school for the world in some sense, you know.
And there's a funny story that is part of it also, because the politicians wanted to have like this regulation for radio that you have to have music in French, a certain amount of like a quota, a certain amount of music. Yes. But then they didn't really have like enough for the youth stations, so they became like a rap stations. They became a hip hop channels, those ones, and it was a big thing for
the building of the culture again. Because sometimes when they censor, also, or the Lord is working for some kind of music or what we want that people listen, automatically that's built like a subculture, which is very healthy for the hip hop culture in this case. So more you censor, you make censorship of something, more you get something that come with so many force, like as an answer also.
I think it's very ironic because it was meant to be like a cultural protectionism and all this old
and at
school.
The end you can stop the energy of the youngness who got so many stuff to say. There is so many feeling also, like you can try to not put that on your station radio, like or the classical radio station, You can sometimes decide to put a fit between some artists, but at the end, like, I'm pretty sure that the energy of the people is bigger than that. Yeah.
How was that time? What kind of memories do you have from that like time, 90s, that type of time when the French hip hop was really like on a
I mean,
come up?
I was super young, and I don't know. I was like with those kind of kids with open eyes, and I was like, wow. So okay, they rap, they do graffiti, they dance, and they get flow when they walk, like, and even the clothes, like everything was a construction of something. It was an identity. And I always say this, and perhaps I'm very repetitive about this, but in my case, I fall in love with hip hop, but because hip hop was our country, the country of so many people around the world that was not feeling some chance from their own country because they was not feeling represented by something, you know. And I feel that hip hop enter as a massive force to represent a huge world country, you know, and unstoppable at the same times, you know. So as a kid of a migrant, was born in France, like, of course I was not representative so for so many stuff. And as me in my classroom, like any your Parisian like classroom was full of Algerian, Morocco, Cameroon, whatever. So that's como ¿cómo se dice riqueza? That's huge, rich culture.
Like a wealth, cultural
That
wealth.
was culture enter in hip hop in so many ways, like, because everyone was bringing their own identity from your house, you know. So I think that's made an explosion in my head. Like, I was feeling like that. I was like, okay, so there is all these ghetto, to say something, or suburbs like culture, and that got flow, like, you know. And so I remember that my eyes of a kid, and I say, well, I want to be like them. See kids older than me, like 5 years, and at the time you really feel those 5 years. When you get 12 and you see like 17, 18, you're like, oh, they are so wow, you know, and you want to be part of that, you know, so much, you know.
Did you start rapping in France already?
No,
in
no,
French?
I begin like dancing. I used to dance a lot, and then I tried when I arrived to Chile. I began to rap and make graffiti, and then I just rap.
What was it like? How old were you when you moved back to Chile? What was Chile like at the time?
So Chile was in a process, what we call the transition between dictatorship and democracy. So those transitions are always very romanticized by the outside, but from the inside is much more complex, I will say, because the impunity was, and still today, was very like more normalized, you know. And so I confront a country where I was not born for the dictatorship because my parents were refugees. And I didn't understand Chile at the beginning. I was like, I didn't understand the codes, the music, the flow. Like, I was very lost in some way. And I talked to so many friends that was born in France like me, and they didn't come back to their original country. And then when they come back, they don't feel either, like there is this unconnection. So I was feeling like that for a couple of years, I would say. But then I had this magic situation where I remember an amazing friend she's older than me. She looked that I was lost, like, in some way, because I was too connected with friends, and I was not in Chile. I was like looking friends, like, I want to come back, I don't want to be here, like whatever. And I remember she took me and she showed me basically how was like the hood, like the suburbs, and I fall in love with something that was unknown for me. That was organization, like the capacity of people to stand up and make como solidarity between all of them, and that's when I fall in love with Chile so deeply until today, like, where I understand this resistance that is part of, I will say, of the DNA of my country also.
And then sometime after that, you joined the group Makiza. We already mentioned that briefly. What was that process like? Were they just sort of French people from around?
No. We were all, the idea, it was almost like como a mistake to meet to each other, you know, because they were very friendly, the three of them, and I was coming from other rappers, whatever. So, but what joined us basically is because we all was raised outside Chile for different reasons, political reason in general, and then that's make a connection, you know. And so one of them, Jean Paul, was raised in France and in Africa. Gaston was, I think he was born, I'm not sure, but he was raised in Canada. And then Christian was born in Chile, but was stay a couple of years in Switzerland.
Okay, and Makiza was very significant group. I think maybe even Chilean hip hop. It's like the kind of.
I think it was interesting. If I got to look with like an outsider, because it's weird to talk about music, but I would say, yeah, perhaps what made the difference between these projects is because it was a woman, and because we were always coming from different countries, so we was bringing something about to be have this connection with the dictatorship and to be from exile parents, or this history, I would say. That's why it's perhaps like that connection that we had, and put some topic on the table in Chile, you know?
Yeah. And then you became a solo artist, and you've been releasing several albums. What was the difference when you are making your own solo album compared to when you are working with the group, or even now you were working? You say you were working, did this EP, the most recent EP, with your friend, and that was a kind of a collaboration. Like both of your names are there. In that, yeah. What's the difference between all of these things, as a group, as a partnership, as a solo artist?
It's very different. It's very different because when you are four, we were four in Makiza. It was very democratic, like all the decision. Sometimes we are not agree at all, which is normally is part of taking decision in a group. And I say, like, to begin a solo career, it confronts you to the best and the worst of yourself. So you're fighting with yourself, which I don't know if it's better or worse. So you fight with your own demons, and sometimes, yeah, you can be super rough with yourself, and don't see sometimes your goal or what you've done. So that's an exercise that I do today that really helped me in my life. To say, Anna, today I just arrived to this hotel and I was so tired, and I just write really simple quote like, "Congratulations, Anna! Like, you sleep only 2 hours or 3 hours. You're here. The concert was beautiful in Marseille. Be grateful. Today is in Helsinki. I've got the privilege to live of my work. To never forget that. Just to write. And perhaps when I was younger, like, I couldn't see that. I was more rough, perhaps. But it's an exercise. It's not automatic. I'm going to say. But I'm in that mood right now. Same, like, trying to feel to go step by step. And I feel this industry also, sorry, I'm trying to answer your question, going so fast. There is so many artists. Everybody wants to be famous. Like, there is this huge battle about that of people say, look at me, listen to me. So sometimes to try to close that noise at least and be happy with what you do with the people that you work is already a goal. So yes, I'm feeling very grateful to have this solo career that is not solo. It's never a solo career. It's always collective. I always touch all the doors and ask advice to the people who I trust. And sometimes, of course, as any human being, I'm insecure. Say, oh, that's not the same, or whatever. And then I say, okay, let's put the demons in a box and try to continue to walk like with calm, you know.
You were talking about the mood and the specific mood that you are in now. Do you think that we can hear? I assume maybe you will know, but does one hear it from the music that you're making? Like that when if you're listening to a specific project, record, or whatever, that I can hear that this was happening in my life at the time.
Yes, I mean, like, it's funny because when I made this EP, I just wanted to make a hip hop EP. That was clear in my head, and then I'm building what I want to do the next months that will come. And the only thing that I know is I know the flavor and some colors, and with that I try to build. So and I love to move. So I know that sometimes Like fans, very classic fan, doesn't like when you move too much. You got to stay in one place. But I need to move. That's part of my personality, and I'm curious. So sometimes I've done music with super different artists as me, you know, because I admire people that do different stuff. And now I'm enjoying just beats and rapping, but in this moment of my life. So
Yeah, yeah.
I'm trying to. I think it will make just a hip hop album, like, but because that make me happy right now, like, and trying to take all the expectation, my own expectation, either which is an exercise, and try to go.
It's the creative process. What I wanted to also talk about is that one of the things about you is that you're very you're one of the artists who's really like unafraid politically. It's very clear if you go to your Instagram or your music or so. You're very clear about where you stand and right side of the history. Want to be and raise the awareness of all these different things. I mean, when it comes to the current situation in Palestine, I don't even know if I mean people should already know by now.
Yes.
But nevertheless, what do you think is the role of hip hop and rap in like a political role? Is there such a thing? Because there was a time when hip hop and rap was quite political anyway, but then of course there's a lot of music that doesn't really have a lot of substance or meaning. Your music does. What do you think is the role of the hip hop in politics?
It's a good question because I don't want to answer as I don't know, has a how you say that, has a even in Spanish I don't know how to say como impose something.
Yeah.
I can talk for myself.
Yes, of course. You don't have to represent anybody else.
I don't want to represent.
Yeah.
I mean, it's not that I don't want to represent, but I feel that it's a huge responsibility also with my colleagues.
Yeah.
But, and that's the big, bold but. Es como, I will never understand people that don't have basic empathy, like in any kind of music, like como, and even human being behind music, like, you know, so I don't understand, but I understand where it comes from, that silence that is full of noise, like about the genocide that is going on. And basically I understand that there is so many rich people behind the label, and everybody's afraid to talk because everybody's afraid to lose work and money. That's the biggest reason, you know. And what perhaps we don't understand as hip-hop community, and is that we are bigger than that, and we are huge. We are the biggest minority. We always has been. They're only I think those people are always, the real interest about us is money. Like, it's not about talent, you know. So, and that's not the culture, and that's not hip-hop, you know. So I was very disappointed with so many artists like that was saying nothing, like, say, why nobody's saying nothing? And then I begin to change my point of view and look at the people that was there, because I was so pissed off, so angry, like, because I always say this, you don't need to be a geopolitical analyst, you don't need to be an academic, I don't know, whatever, you're just to be a human being. There is nothing very complex about that. And all the propaganda that's been put on the table, like with the anti-Semitism or whatever, is so violent, like, is violent against my Jewish friends that I've been talking like to, is violent because that's our history. Like my parents and that generation teach to us since we are kids, since we are born, like, to never repeat the history. And we always in high school and in school learn about Holocaust, and what we learn is like never repeat the history. So how is possible today in 2025 to not even repeat the history, to be even worse, because it's a real time lapse genocide. We never lived that in the history of humanity. So that's afraid me so much, because I'm asking, where's the hip hop community? We should make bunch of concert, like, bunch of stuff and organize ourselves. But that's what I'm saying, because I was in Chile. I was just arrived in Chile in November. Like I was in November. Sorry, I was in the end of October 2023, and you get to understand that in Chile we got one of the huge Palestinian community after Jordani.
Even the football team.
Yes,
and
the Palestino, and I remember end of October 2023. I was with my mother and a friend. And we was like, this is terrible, because I remember I posted on Instagram the 9th of October 2023. But not even because I feel, that's super simple. I feel this is wrong, ¿sabes? They treat me in all the way that you can imagine, And even say that's not your business, like, like you're not Palestinian. No, I'm not Palestinian, but I'm not Jewish, and I'm against like Holocaust too. So, so you can have opinion about something, but there is some topic that you can't. So we decide that we were, all of us, like very frustrated with what all was happening. And we decided to organize a concert, a huge concert in Chile. We did it in, I don't know, 10 days perhaps. And 6,000 people arrived. Like, it was in any media. I think it was the first concert after October 23 in the world. And those kind of stuff, when I invite all the artists, I invite all kind of music. And I said, we're going to open this to humanity behind hip hop, ¿sabes? But for me, that is very hip hop at the same time.
Yeah.
It's like
art and
action,
culture.
Yes, it's is action reaction, which I love about hip hop. I like it. There is not like, I feel it, you feel it, I feel it, a rap. It's action and reaction.
Yes.
So, and the concert was amazing, So, I don't know. It's the biggest question all the time. Are we hip hop artists or we are publicists? I don't know. Sometimes I'm lost. And I don't have the answer, to be honest.
And these days, there's so many different things that, like you said, you have make music, but then you also have to like the social media and communications. Yes. And all of the things and content, all the stuff. And then there are these things. This is particularly seems to be the situation now with this Palestine nightmare that is unfolding, is that there seems to be like this projected expectation that you should be able to answer any question and know everything about it, and before you're allowed to talk about it. But at the core of it is just about humanity, like you say.
Yes.
And this is where art and culture comes.
The art and culture always has been an answer, modern answer. We're all in all the process in the world, like all the music that touch our soul always is an answer to violence or oppression. In general, it's always like that. If you look like all the history of music, all of them, like the rest is 2025, where it's full of influencers talking. The emptiness of talking for talk. We're going to talk more.
Yeah. Thank you so much for this real time, and thank you for the music.
Thank you.